Hey, what's up, guys? Double Dog Gamer here. Welcome to another Marine Corps Mondays. And of course, we're back with more Rising Sun. And this time I'm using the fucking Shoddy, which is an awesome ass weapon. But anyways, today is Memorial Day, and it's one of my least favorite holidays, I have to say. And, you know, it's a hard day for me. You know, I spend a lot of the time remembering the good times and the bad, and remembering all the friends I've lost. And I sit there and I watch everyone else. And everyone else just treats it like every other holiday. They treat it as, you know, a day off of work and, you know, the day to cook out and hang out with their friends and family and get drunk. And it's really not what the day's about. It really isn't. And then I go around and I see, you know, I drive by the Veterans Cemetery and I see the vets out there putting American flags into the graves. And, you know, somebody visiting their buddy's grave and leaving a beer on top of it. And that's what the day's really about. It's remembering those who gave their all for this country. And it's not about beer, fucking hot dogs, burgers. It's about remembering those that took the early flight home, that left in the box. And it's a hard day. I mean, it's not one of those days where, you know, I walk around with a smile on my face and, you know, have a grand old time. And I mean, you try to make the best of it. And that's really all you can do. And I always try to spend those days with people I actually give a shit about, and I give a shit about me, instead of, you know, just going around spending time with people who don't fucking understand. And, you know, it's kind of sad that, like, this is kind of how America is, to where they don't really give a shit, and it just becomes that point where it's just a holiday, and fuck what it really means, right? Same with 4th of July. Everyone's just like, oh, let's get drunk, do fireworks. You know, it's a lot. People forget what these holidays are really about, and it's kind of upsetting, you know, to see people act like that and think like that. But it's really all you can do. I mean, you can't really force people to think that way or act that way, and you just pretty much have to do how, you know, celebrate how you see fit. I mean, like, sure, it'd be great to see everybody raise an American flag and go down to Veterans Cemetery and, you know, plant American flags and, you know, salute each grave and shit, but it ain't gonna happen. You're never gonna make it like that, and there's nothing you can really do about that. But, you know, as much as I'd like to go do that, I find it hard to go to the cemeteries and do any of that. I find it pretty hard to sit there and see how many of them we've lost and how many people have made the ultimate sacrifice. And the funny thing was, when I was in the New York trip with Mrs. Devil Dog Gamer, well, former Mrs. Devil Dog Gamer, I had actually gone, after New York, we'd flown down to visit my grandparents in Northern Virginia. So they had picked us up from the airport, and we're driving past Arlington Cemetery. And they asked me, do you want to go? Because I used to live in Maryland, right outside of there, and I'd gone before I'd been in the Marines, but I'd never gone after, because I have quite a few friends there. And we were getting near the exit, and they turned to me and said, do you want to go? And I just sat there for a second. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't literally step inside that place where I know a ton of people lay, and I can't do that. And that's how things are. You know, the memories always stay with you, the good or the bad, and you have to make the best of every single fucking day. And that's the same with Memorial Day, and that motherfucker just lived. But he didn't live that time. But the same way to Memorial Day. You know what the holiday's about, you know what it means to you, and the best thing you can do is not let it bring you down. Enjoy the best of it, remember all the good times, and that's what I do. I don't sit there and dwell on the people I'd lost and what I'd seen and, you know, any of that. I sit there and I think about the great times I had, the times where we'd carry each other out of bars because we're so fucking drunk, or the stupid shit we would do in the barracks, and, you know, the fun we would have just doing stupid stuff, like sitting on posts and fucking being stupid. And, you know, it's stuff like that. I don't sit there and dwell on the combat or, you know, watching somebody get put into a bag that I'd spent a lot of time with. And that's not how I treat Memorial Day. As much as a lot of people, you know, would think that's how I treat it, I don't. You know, it's kind of saddening to watch a lot of stuff go on, though, where just people forget, you know, 100% what that day is. And, you know, at this point, I can actually hear people walking, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I don't know where they're coming from. But a lot of people, you know, just forget what the day is. And that kind of pisses me off, but, you know, like I said, you can't force people to do it. And there's one person I know who knows exactly what that day means to me and treasures it and everything. And that's who I'm going to spend my Memorial Day with. Just because if I spend it with anybody else, it just seems, it pisses me off. It does. It literally pisses me off to see how some people treat the day. And that's why I choose carefully who to spend it with. But the only thing I can really say to everyone is just try to spend the day as you seem fit. And I fucking off my own teammate. Spend the day how you see fit. Don't treat it like any other fucking day. Treat it as a special day that it is. And do at least something to commemorate those that were lost. Doesn't matter if you salute an American flag, you raise an American flag, you drink a beer for them. Doesn't matter. Just make it something worth their memory. Don't just make the day about you and getting drunk and shit like that. Take the day and at least do one thing that commemorates those that were lost. That's all I ask of everybody. If everybody did that and did at least one thing that would commemorate that, I think people would start to really see what the holiday was about, instead of just seeing it as a free day off work and day to get drunk and have a nice cookout. Even though those are things to do, and you know that's, you know, something to do about it, but you know there always has to be that you have to really treat it as the day it really is. And I fucking just absolutely suck at killing that guy. He ran up like, oh shit! Right away. Crazy. I do love this game. I recommend Rising Sun to every single person. But alright guys, we're going to cut it here early because it is Memorial Day and I want to go out and really spend it the way I should. But make sure you leave a comment, give it a like. Don't forget to raise Old Glory high in the sky and drink a beer for those who didn't make it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.